I guess anytime you book a profit, it's good. The afternoon floor, we looked at several trades, but most of them started shaping up right at the end. So we didn't place anything officially, but we did see several nice trades that were setting up, yeah, just about in the last 30 minutes. So let's talk about the market indices. And then I remember Jeremy yesterday drooling over Tata Motors. So we'll be sure and take a look at that one fairly soon. Okay, so the SPY had another bearish day, stopped at the 100 simple moving average. There's a couple of ways to look at the market, and I think the best way is to say, you know what, we are in a bullish move that has some ups and downs along the way. This happens to be just one of those little downs along the way. Now, a aggressive move below the 100 simple moving average tomorrow would certainly be a bearish signal, but I doubt we do that. And I know this means that I'm looking into a crystal ball that I don't have, but I'm guessing we don't, and here's why. Volume. Look at how pathetic this bearish volume is on this little resting slash rollover. We had big strong bounce off the 100, big strong bounce off the 100. We're just coming back to it again. Now notice the bullish volume here and the bullish move, very nice bullish moves there. So when the volume is high on the bullish moves and volume is low on the bearish moves, that tends to be more of a bullish sign, meaning that this is just a, I guess that's pretty big for a flag pattern. But anyway, because this volume is so low, that's why I believe we bounce off the 100 tomorrow. If you are in on this, you could notice that that is a lower high and you might be looking for some lower lows. But and until things get below, call that 207.60, if things get below there, then we can be looking for a bearish move down to the 200. But, you know, until then, I'm still bullish to sideways on the market. It is summertime. Summertime tends to be a bearish time in the market, and we're going up to sideways. So I don't see any doom and gloom. If you wanted to buy the bounce back here but didn't, and you wanted to buy the bounce but didn't here, you may get another chance tomorrow. I would say if we do open tomorrow, bounce off that 100 and then move above that 10 exponential, then I would go in intraday. Here is the DIA, and we get very much the same picture, a little bit more gloomy than the SPY because we did move aggressively below that 100 simple moving average, but overall the shape of the chart looks about the same. I'm almost going to, I am going to get rid of that line because really it looks like that key pivot level is down here. So I don't think it's going to happen. Again, we've got low volume on the bearish moves, much higher volume on the bullish moves, but holy smokes, wouldn't it be amazing if maybe tomorrow or Monday the DIA comes down to this 177.14, lets the 200 simple come in, and then it bounces. I hate to say, isn't that amazing if the DIA goes down? Because I know that's fearful for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people would be losing a little bit of money or maybe a lot of money. I don't know. I don't like being happy about the market going down. However, if you were not in bullish and want to be, X marks the spot, man. That 200 coming up on this 177 line on the DIA would just be yumminess. I don't think it happens. I think it bounces tomorrow and or Monday. I have been wrong before. If you've been watching my day trading for the last 4 weeks, you will know that I have been wrong more often than not. But this week, been making up for everything and about at break even. So all good news in the long run. Let's see what the QQQs are doing. The Qs are not nearly as bearish as the DIA. Now, it looks like that trigger that I put last time I got to talk to you guys on the Qs is in a stellar location. Stellar. That sounds like I'm saying I did something good. I just what you guys say to do and what Jeremy says to do. Obviously, we're getting relative highs. We're challenging those again. So a move above. Let's see. I've got 111.36 here. A close above 111.36 would definitely be more bullish than bearish. If we happen to gap above that, the Qs doesn't gap very much. But if we do gap above that, you could consider going in early in the morning. As far as protective put, where would I put my protective put now? You know what? I think I'd keep it along on the 50, and I think I'd keep my stop along on the 100. Because I see this wick there and that wick there and these wicks, but I kind of think these wicks are more responding to the 100 simple moving average than any horizontal price point. At any rate, I would not go, certainly not enter this market bearish without further confirmation, indication of a bearish move. Everything looks bullish to sideways to me. SPY looks bullish to sideways. DIA looks sideways, and the QQQs look bullish to me. I think this thing could pop tomorrow or Monday, especially if the SPY pops. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on the market. If you guys see anything I'm missing, let me know. But the fact that this thing is coming up and making relative highs, making higher lows, this is a giant and very juicy ascending triangle. One of my favorite patterns to trade. All right, let's take a look at the IWM, and then we'll go on to Transportation Thursday. I do have about 5 stocks that I was looking at early that I think are setting up for swing trades potentially, and we definitely need to look at Netflix, because Netflix announced a 7-for-1 split and has been moving bearish ever since, which is ironic and not what you'd expect. All right, so looks like last time I got to do the show, we placed a trigger at end of day for the Russell 2000, which has played out very nicely. If you are not in but want to be, why do I keep drawing pink lines? If you're not in the Russell 2000 but want to be, I would wait for this move up there. Let's call that 129.26 on the IWM. I do like the fact that this has rested. It's come down to that 10 EMA, and it has all come down to this previous high. So remember that these old resistance is going to be new support. 127.13 there. Oops. Excuse me. Sorry, I just had a flash of fear that I had not started the recording, but I see a blinking red light, so hopefully we're recording. 127.13 here. 120. Why am I not getting numbers? There we go. 127.25 here. So we got really close enough. That's a bounce off of this pivot line. I'm pretty bullish on IWM. Yeah, if this thing breaks bearish, breaks below there, and you're in, you can buy a protective put. Where would I put my stop? That is a tough one because we don't have many pivot points, meaning that if this thing does break bearish, it could really come down. You know what? I would say stop at the 50. If I had shares in this thing right now and it moved below this line of 127, give it some room. If we move below 126.90, if we move below 126.90 on the IWM, not only would I sell any shares that I have, but I would buy a directional bearish put, a very quick directional bearish move. Maybe we pull back to the 20. I don't know. I'm so bullish on this thing, it's hard for me to place my stop. All right, let's move it just a skidgen. If we move below the 20 exponential moving average, then you can buy a protective put or dump your shares. At any rate, much more bullish than bearish on the IWM. Notice this low volume on that bearish flag pattern. Excuse me, that's a bullish flag pattern. just because it moved bearish a little bit. Ready for this thing to pop Friday or Monday. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on the overall market? Angie, can you help remind me of what the tickers were that Jeremy placed credit spreads on? Because if they're credit spreads, we should go take a look at those and see if they need any doctoring or attention. Okay, Tata Motors, looks like last time I got to talk to you, we had a bearish trade set up, which would be very, very nice. This consolidation pattern down here looks very nice. I'm just trying to figure out how convinced I am of this pivot point here. That bounce right there. Okay, I like that line. I like this line too. So let's take these things off the board because they're a little bit old. If you are in bearish right now on Tata Motors, you are profitable. Congratulations. I would, if I was in bearish already, have a protective call here. So if this thing were to move up, I believe it would come up and retest 37, 33, 37.50, somewhere around there. If you are in bearish, I would definitely move my stop down here. And hopefully, if you got stopped out on your shares, you could break even on the shares, but make a lot of money on the protective call. That's what I would do if I was in bearish. Now, I believe Jeremy wanted me to look at what I would do if we were not in already. And I think I do just what I had drawn, actually. The question is this a location where it could or should bounce? To me, this looks, sorry, that's a bad drawing. This looks a lot like this, meaning we may be in store for a little bit of sideways action. The current sideways action is a whole lot neater than that one, but we could be looking at a just kind of like a bearish sidestep, or that could be a double bottom. It's hard to see. I'm trying to figure out if there's a good pivot point anywhere. Okay, price line expires tomorrow. Thank you, Angie. We'll take a look at that one. Okay, so I'm not seeing a real strong pivot point or a real strong reason why Tata Motors should bounce here. So because of that, if you're not in already, it has had a nice time to rest. You could go bearish there. Call that trigger end of day. And by there, I mean 33.84-ish. You could, if you did get in, yeah, you could do a protective call there. Actually, if this were me and I went in bearish here, if it did pop above this consolidation area, I would dump my shares and buy a protective call at the same time. I guess that's not the definition of a protective call, but I would be surprised if it rolls up higher than this 37, 33-ish. 37 to 74-ish area. So yeah, my call on Tata would be if you are in already and it breaks above this 20 exponential moving average, then I would dump the shares and buy a protective call. If you are not in and want to be in, I would look for an entry with a strong move below 33.84. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on Tata Motors? All right, and congratulations for those of you that got in back at 37. You are rocking it. And kind of like that same discussion that we had a while ago, I see higher volume on the bearish moves than on the bullish moves. Yes, the bearish volume is declining, but that's kind of why it's going sideways. It's resting. If we see a bullish volume that's bigger than this guy, then you can start to consider that there may be a retrace, but until then, I am bearish. I'm not sideways, I'm bearish on Tata Motors. All right, let's check out Priceline. Looks like we did have a bear call spread. So this move to the 200 is a great sign. 1130 by 1125. Oh, that's got to be a bull put spread. 1130 by 1125. So we're looking at down here. Wow. That's awesome, guys. Angie, do you remember what Jeremy's line in the sand was? I'm assuming it's going to be that. If I would say if we get below 1,143, then I would consider, I don't know, this thing's got so many pivot points between, I mean, I'd be shocked. And see how low this volume is on these bearish moves? This thing's going sideways. This thing's ready to pop. I would not be surprised if this thing hits the 100 simple moving average tomorrow. Okay, if you guys have bear call spreads or bull put spreads out there that you want me to take a look at, go ahead and type those in. As far as price line, if it gets below 143 tomorrow, I might look at the hourly, but you've got lots of support between you and the bottom. Are there any questions about that? If there are any questions, go ahead and type them in. Otherwise, I'm going to go look at some more, but yeah, 11, I wouldn't even blink until we get below 1143. And if we did get below 1143, I would consider closing it out, but I'd really be watching the hourly to see if there'd be a bearish break. All right, let's see what else we can look at today. Oh, it's 3:17. We got lots of time. If I'm going too fast, go ahead and type it in the chat pane. Mobileye, there's what we were looking at. So we were looking at this for a day trade today, and we said, hey, if it breaks out above that pivot, I think, Dean, were you asking me if this one would make a good swing trade? Sorry, I had to cough there. I like Mobileye now. With any kind of close above that, that would be a trigger end of day. Look at this bullish volume coming in compared to the last 4 or 5 days. That is a signal. This is textbook. And of course, if it doesn't work out, Jeremy's probably going to make me eat something. If we do, for some reason, get below the bottom of this guy, which is 52.85, then I would be looking at a protective put. And I don't want that line on there anymore. Wow. I like that one. And then if we get below, I almost would not do a protective put on this one. I think I might just do a stop. Your choice if you like the protective puts or just do a stop. The reason I say that is I'm bullish until we get below 52.85, the bottom of this little swing pattern. Actually, that is a cup and handle, little tiny cup and handle maybe. At any rate, whether this is a side step or a cup and handle or the flippity jippity, if we get below that, then I would be slightly, well, I would be bearish on the stock. However, there are going to be lots of sources of support with this continuation pattern and the 20 exponential moving average. So if you do buy a protective put, it's got to be real quick because you're going to run into support there and then again here. So your call if you want to do a protective put if this thing turns around. If this were me, I would not do a protective put, and I'd just bring my stop right up there to 52.80. Yeah, I give it a little bit of room. Yeah, call it 52.80, something like that. Maybe 52.70, something around in there. All right. What do I want to do? Open a new tab. Angie, I'm going to send you a link I'm going to post it in here. Let's see. I'm going to look to see if there's any credit spreads that are currently open. And 624, 624, okay, so it looks like we got 3 spreads to go take a look at. So we'll do that quickly. So some people have said, hey, I'm not finding the credit, the trade journal on the new website, and it's coming, but yes, it is not up there now. So there's a link to it. Let's look at McDonald's and SPY. Let's see, SPY was 214, 215. Let's go back to that one. So 214, 215. Oh my gosh, there's premium up there. Okay, so I guess I got to say if it gets above 213.50, you might think about closing out. 213.75, I definitely dump it. If we get above that, I would be shocked and amazed if we do that. I am more bullish than bearish, but honestly, I think we get up here, we fight somewhere around 212.50, maybe 213 at the most tomorrow. Any questions on how I would manage the SPY bear call spread? I think you guys are golden. But if it does get up above, if it gets to 213, I would pay very, very close attention. But hopefully, if you're trading spreads, you have a rock solid trading plan because defense is very, very important on credit spreads. Very, very important. So you should have a rock solid plan that's been thoroughly tested, and you should know what you're going to do before I can even look. Okay, so it looks like 92 and 102 are the key points. 102. All right, so again, this thing's a cakewalk. If this thing gets over 99.50, we can start to take a look at the bull put spread, or sorry, the bear call spread side. If it gets below the 200 simple moving average, you could think about playing defense, but all the way down there at 92, this thing would have to get, yeah, if it gets below 94, it was a 94, it's a 92. Goodness gracious. That is amazing. I'm going to have to get back into credit spreads. I got hurt 3 days last year, and that ruined my appetite for them. But if you, wow, that one's just unbelievable. Cool. Questions, thoughts, opposing views? How to manage those trades? Type them in. Let me know. Let's see. We placed a swing trade on Mobileye. Let's go take a look at BBY. Best Buy. Oh yeah, gorgeous sideways consolidation pattern. My dad found this one this morning. See if we can get a little bit more data on the picture. So Best Buy has been going side. I did not see this wick earlier today, so now I may have to rethink what I want to do here. That looks like a random wick. All right, we do have to respect this wick. That's 38.17. Sorry, 33.17. So this doesn't look as much like a slam dunk as I thought it would be this morning. However, I still like Best Buy bearish. We have a nice consolidation pattern here. It has been responding very well to the 50. It's rested, it's gone sideways. So any breakdown would be much more bearish than bullish. I would be shocked if this thing broke out of here, hit that, and bounced. I mean, like super shocked. So I think any breakdown of this level, see that's 33.80, 33.75 there, 33.78 there, 33.73 there. You know what, guys? I can't do it. I'm sorry. I was going to place an entry there. Well, let me just say, I'm bringing this to your attention. That is not a horrible entry on Best Buy. It is going to run into some support here at 33.17. I don't think it holds. I think it blows right through 33.17, but there is some support there. If you do enter where I have it drawn, it'd be great to have a protective, something or other like a protective call there, and then your stop is going to be at the 200 simple moving average. And I do think as time goes on, that 200 is going to go up before it rolls back down. What I would really like this to do is to come down here and go sideways for a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean 2 or 3 days. And then you could put your trigger there. Your protective call could go there, and your stop would go there. I almost like that one much, much better. So I'm bearish on Best Buy. The entry, I'll leave it to you and your trading plan. AT&T has been making a bullish break. It is at all-time highs. Really, the time to get in on AT&T was 2 days ago, not now. See how far away this is from the 10 exponential moving average? This thing's going to roll back down. So I think Dean and my dad sold some cover calls up in here. Dean was able to buy his bag for break even. So very nicely done, Dean. I am bullish on AT&T. I almost think it takes a day or two, comes back and retests this consolidation pattern. So if you're not in on AT&T and want to be, that's the time to do it. I don't know about the timing of this, so if you can buy your covered call back for break even, that would be a rock star move. You can put a protective put right in there. Okay, Dean, here's what I would do. I just got a plan for you, my friend. And of course, you have a rock star trading plan, so you tell me what you would do. And Dean, you may have already done this. I like selling the 37 covered call. Short term or the 37.50 longer term. And then be ready to buy a protective put if this thing rolls back down with the premium that you got. Or maybe you just go ahead and buy that protective put with the premium you get. But this would be an example of a collar where you lock in your profits. You get to sell a call up here, and you buy a protective put down there. So Dean, that one is for you and anyone else who has shares of AT&T. I like that. If you are not in on AT&T, I would wait to see if it rolls back down and bounces, because it has not yet given a good retest of this sideways pattern here. Also, we're really far away from the 10 EMA, so I think it rolls back down before it continues upwards, but it certainly doesn't have to. Hey guys, notice the volume of that candle right there compared to all of this. Notice the volume of that candle there compared to all of this. This is why I'm not really bearish on the SPY or the DIA or just about anything that had a bearish day, because the volume is so pathetic. When something's going to make a strong bullish move, it usually has strong bullish volume. So keep track of the volume. The volume is a great indicator of the strength of the move or how important that move is. Notice the bullish volume today was rather pathetic, which is again another indicator that AT&T could roll down before it continues upward. Okay, I got to move because today is Transportation Thursday, and I'm looking at a bunch of non-transportation stuff just because I think there's good swing trades. Let's see. Again, last time we talked, we placed an entry right in here on Netflix, which is rocking. If you're in Netflix, which I know a lot of people are, I would buy protective put if it gets up to the bottom of this candle, which was about 2 weeks ago. At 641.61, if it gets below that, call it 640.99, something in that area. I would go ahead and buy a protective put because this would be a double top. It would be a double top at a great location, but at a really weird time. Netflix announced a 7-for-1 split, which is usually bullish. However, that might be a sign that anyone that wanted to buy Netflix is saying, hey, Netflix is really expensive. I'm just going to wait until it splits. And so the buyers are just going to wait for a while. That's just a wild guess. But if it does get down below the bottom of this guy right here, that is a double top, that is bearish. Netflix has been on a bullish tear for about 2.5, 3 months, so it is due for a correction. So I would buy a protective put on that double top. I would play this gap as my final support if you are profitable. I do not hate the prospect at all of just moving your stop up to there at that double top and say, hey, if it forms, I'm done. Let it roll down, let it do whatever it's going to do, and then after the split, we'll watch for signals again. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on Netflix. If it does get below this, if it does form that double top, bear call spread all day up here on Netflix. If there is, what am I trying to say? If there's premium up there. Linderman says double gap and go is a indication that it is very bullish. This is a retest gap. Oh, I think he's talking about all of these gaps in through here. Yeah, that definitely says it could be exhausted. It is exhausted. That thing's tired. Oh, Justin was talking about AT&T. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, multitasking like crazy. So sorry, Lindermeister. All right, so that was AT&T. Sorry, that was Netflix. Wow, my brain needs some Starbucks. In fact, I'm drinking a Starbucks refresher, revitalizing energy. This one looks like the upside down version of Best Buy. Best Buy, I was bearish after this consolidation pattern. Starbucks, I am bullish after this consolidation pattern. So an area above here, I believe, would be buyable. I would like it to go sideways just a little bit more because, well, I'd like for these EMAs to come in. I'd like for it to rest just a little bit more. Tell you what, let's see what the oscillators are doing. I want stochastics and RSI to see if there's any divergence, and there is not. Okay, looks good. So the Stokes are making higher highs. RSI is making higher highs. So yeah, all clear for Starbucks. Reminds me of that movie. What was it? Delivery Man with Vince Vaughn. I know Vince Vaughn did a remake, but all clear for Starbucks. Anyways, all right. Enough with the movie references, right? Okay, so if you do get in, beautiful place for a protective put there, and I would do a protective put because this thing is due for a rest. If it gets below the top of these guys, then I would do a stop. And you have plenty of room for that protective put to make some money down to the stop. I like that idea. All right, let's go. Let's move through some transportation stocks. Get it? Okay. I think I'm funny. The voices in my head are laughing. Okay, looks like we placed a bullish trigger on GM that never triggered. That's cool. So now we can look bearish. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put that back. If it gets back up to there, I would go bullish. If it moves below the 200, I would go bearish. Easy as that. Yeah, that's my plan for GM. Questions, thoughts, opposing views? I can't tell if Angie's laughing at my joke or she wants me to look at Hawaiian Airlines, but it's Transportation Thursday, so let's take a look at Hawaiian Holdings. There are a lot of lines on my chart. It looks like a gorgeous fib on this, so I hate to lose that. Bop, 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 bop. I don't really like much of anything on Hawaiian Airlines right now. A move above that would be bullish, but then that is going to be resistance. A move below this would be bearish, but then you're going to get support there and there and there. So I don't see anything I like right now on Hawaiian Airlines. So I'm going to get some of my lines off the screen. All right, Johnny, I got your message. We'll do that. We'll reschedule. Let me know what your availability is tomorrow, and I will do my best to make it work. All right, so let's move on from Hawaiian Airlines, and what else is over here? I looked at Tata Motors. I looked at GM. Let's look at Ford. Oops, it's not Ford. Ford Schwartz today crushed MACK on a day trade. I want to be like Ford because Ford pops into the webinar. He makes a couple of R's and then he goes about his day. Johnny Guarco, you may want to touch base with Ford Schwartz because I think he does what you're considering doing. He just gets in and if he sees a trade, he crushes it and then he goes on about his day. If he doesn't see his trade, he goes on about his day. But Ford is an amazing day trader. Looks like we had fun with the day trade on Ford the other day, or was at least watching it. I do like this move on Ford. What I see is a very aggressive and nice big deep double bottom here. Jump above the 200 simple moving average. It jumped up, retest the 200 simple. Bam. So my normal strategy would say to enter there and put your stop there. However, we do have this 100 here in the way. So I think if you're a very quick trader and you see a bounce off of this pivot point on Ford and you want to trade it from there to there, go for it. Otherwise, I think when it gets to the 100 simple, it's going to go sideways for just a little bit, and that would be what I would like to trade. Get an entry there and a stop like that. Real nice tight entry to stop, and then at this resistance over here, you could get a 2-to-1 reward risk ratio. So I am more bullish than bearish on Ford, but I think we wait till it gets to that 100 and goes sideways. I don't like the fact that I'm bullish on Ford and bearish on General Motors. Usually those industries kind of move together, especially blue chips like Ford and GM. Tesla is taken off very nicely. Looks like we called a trade a while back and it hit the target very nicely. So Coolio, congratulations if you took that trade. Man, I gotta get back into swing. I'm testing the swing trade strategy right now, and it is working phenomenally. So I need about 10 or 12 more virtual trades, and then I'll start sharing that with you guys. I do see a resistance level here at 259.99, and you know what? Yeah, I gotta wait on that swing trade. I was gonna say I'm gonna share it with you prematurely, but I gotta follow my own advice and completely test it before I open the gates on it. I don't see a great trade on Tesla right now. This candle right here was not a horrible day to get in. However, I think I would like for this thing to roll over more and test that old resistance as new support before getting in. So Tesla, I'm just kind of meh on. Lindermeister says that Ford and General Motors commute together all the time. You're right, buddy. I like it. We got 20 minutes left. If there are any stocks doing earnings announcements tonight that we should look at, that may be gapping tomorrow, no finish line is. Here's Alaska Air Group. This one, and I think my dad was pointing this one out to me earlier as well. So good job, Dad. By the way, if my dad has made you money, say good job, Mr. Reed, because he's rocked a couple of trades. I know Jeremy was talking about LinkedIn earlier, and my dad absolutely demolished LinkedIn. There was a Bollinger Band squeeze a while back, and he was right on the squeeze, and then it had some just freakish gap. Okay, so I'm seeing this downtrend on Alaskan. It's not a Bollinger Band squeeze, but this thing is getting squeezed right now between the 100 and this trend line. 3 bearish candles in a row that really didn't go anywhere. And this bounced off the 200. Is that a downward wedge? Lindermeister, you're good with wedges. Is that a bullish wedge? Or did this ruin it? I guess that ruined it. Too early to tell. But definitely a break above this trend line, and I would be bullish on Alaska Air Group. Notice how pathetic the volume is on these last 3 days. Lindermeister says not a wedge, and he is an expert on those. Okay, so not a wedge. Thank you for clarifying. I would be more bullish than bearish with a jump above that wedge. As far as going bearish on Alaska, on ALK, Alaska Air Group, I don't really feel anything bearish until it gets below the 200, which that's going to take a while. A bullish gap tomorrow would just be unbelievable, and I would be all over it. All right, what else we got? American Airlines. Is in the midst of forming a ginormous head and shoulders. Let's see if it finishes. It's got, inverted head and shoulders. It's got a ways to go. It's going to need at least a week or two, but American Airlines might be forming that. If you are a swing trader, here's what I see on American Airlines. Oh, wow, look at this candle here that breaks through that pivot point on that volume right there. So I guess my lesson of today is use these volume bars to determine the strength of the signal, and that's why on those bearish signals that I see on the daily chart of the overall market, when it's on that pathetic volume, I think it's insignificant, and I am much more bullish than bearish. Okay, but back to American Airlines. If we break bearish below that line, then I would be bearish down to about there. I'd be surprised if we do that because of that retest gap right there. Now realize we have not retested that retest gap. So if we do roll below these EMAs and we roll below this pivot point, that would be a really great day trade or a very quick swing trade as it closes that gap. Otherwise, I would wait for a bullish candle on American Airlines either off of this or off of that gap to take it bullish. So I'm looking for a bouncing candle, and I would trade that up to the 50 or maybe even the 200. But you would be getting very nice reward risk ratios, but I would wait for the bounce. We've had 3 days of bearish candles, big upper wicks, so I do think American is primed and ready to roll back down, even though the volume's low. We have 2 retest gaps which have not yet retested. So I guess I talked about an inverted head and shoulders. Then I talked about waiting for the bullish bounce. So I guess I'm bullish on American Airlines. Linderman says Harley Davidson has a wedge on the hourly. Let's go check out. And thank you, Linderman, for providing us with a transportation stock. All right, well, I don't know where my entry was on this. Oh, this was a day trade over here. That's what all these lines are. Bearish day trade. Like, man, if I had done that as a swing trade, that's a lot of stops. And love this gap here. Okay, see this gap on Harley Davidson? That's what I would expect American Airlines to do. Retest gap, and it has retested. So any bullish candle on Harley Davidson, I think, is viable. Realize that that 100 simple is providing resistance right now, so it would be a very quick move. So I expect to bounce. It's coming into all these EMAs. This thing's got to bounce very, very soon. Nice, Linderman. Here it is on the hourly. So this is 3 or 4 days that we're looking at here. Nice sideways action on the hourly today. Yeah, this thing's ready to pop bullish. So keep your eyes on HOG, H-O-G, Harley Davidson. I do think a bounce is viable. I think the bounce will happen tomorrow. If the market goes bullish tomorrow like I think it will, Harley Davidson will follow suit. So trade your plan, but I am more bullish than bearish on Harley Davidson. Wait for that confirmation candle, though. I mean, wait for it to bounce before you get in. But I would expect that to occur soon. So for me, a bullish gap, if it gaps above 57.91 tomorrow, I don't know any reason why it should, but if it does, trade that up to the 100 simple. Boom. Alrighty. If there's any other stocks you want me to take a look at, type them in, let me know. Caterpillar's a fun stock that we haven't seen in a while. Some sideways action on Caterpillar. So it looked like I had called for a bullish, I guess I made a bearish trade on Caterpillar. That's what this trigger is. Although this looks like if there was a close below, and there was never a close below this line. Lots of opens below that line, lots of trigger or lots of wicks below that line, but not a close. So it looks like this trigger would not have gotten filled. Here's what I think I would do on Caterpillar. I like a bear call spread below 80, bear call spread above 90. Actually, maybe even a quick iron condor between 90 and 84. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go quick. But oh, thank you, Tina. Yes, Tina says I need to look at finish line, and I do. I am very sideways on Caterpillar. Slightly more bearish because this did not go up to the top of the channel. A move below there is a double bottom. However, you do have the 100 simple right here at the bottom of the channel. So as far as going bearish on Caterpillar, I'd wait for a close below the 100. If you want to go bullish, I'd wait for a close above the 200. But I think Caterpillar will go sideways for another couple of weeks. But once it does make that move above the 200, above the 100, that would be a very nice directional move to the point where I think a iron condor could be placed on Caterpillar right now. I want to look at the Bollinger Bands, then I'm going to flip over to Finish Line, which does have earnings before open tomorrow. Bollinger think are going to be wide. They're wide, but they're sideways. So the squeeze is coming. That 20 exponential, 20 simple moving average is sideways. Caterpillar is sideways, but I don't think for very long. Let me put these moving averages back on. Yeah, that's sideways. When you go up through the moving averages, back through the moving averages, up through the averages, down through the moving averages, that is a sideways stock. And I would love, yeah, Iron Condor above the 200 and below the 100 just seems like I wouldn't do that for more than a week. So a daily or a weekly would be great. Finish line. Okay. Had a wonderful retest gap that just did not work. And this thing, when it went bearish very early in the morning. Spent the majority of the day below this pivot line. We were watching it for a day trade. Just have no idea why it would gap up and then just fall like that. It blew out its flip-flop and stepped on a pop top. Okay, so if this thing gaps above yesterday, this would be a delicious gap and go. Let's see if it gaps above yesterday. If it gaps above today, call that 27.83. Yeah, that would be a monster gap and go. As far as a bearish gap, don't really like much of anything. It would really have to gap maybe below the 100. If it closes at 26.91, a gap below 25 would only be a 2-3% gap. Maybe down below this pivot area. I'm not crazy about a bearish gap. Sorry about that. Someone's trying to call me. Can you just hit the red button on that phone, please, for me? Thank you. There'll be a red button on the right side. All right. If we gap below 24.34, I would be more bearish than bullish, but I'm really hoping for a bullish gap up here above 27.83 on finish line. All right, I'm going to add that to the watch list for tomorrow, and I'm going to take these off. There we go. CMI was looking interesting. Looks like we day traded this a while back and got lots of funky lines on the chart. All right, drawing tools, remove all drawing tools. All right, so there is, my dad found this one, and some experts are calling this a wedge. I don't think that, I'm not sure I'd call that a wedge. I think I'd call that a descending triangle, more likely. But I guess while we're here, CMI, definitely, I like it bearish. Ow. Sorry, I just banged my knee into my desk. Okay, so if CMI breaks below this consolidation area, so the bottom of this consolidation area is 133.50. Are there any other stocks that are having earnings announcements that may be gapping tomorrow you want me to take a look at? Go ahead and draw them in. But if I am much more bearish than bullish on Cummins Diesel, they have a plant in Columbus, Indiana, which is about, what, 70, 80 miles from here. Yeah, actually, let's go ahead and put some stuff on here. All right, I'm going to draw this like that. Yeah, if it breaks, and if it gaps out of there, I will be all over that on a swing trade. And when I say I would be on it on a swing trade, I would buy it virtually, pretty close to the open. Is that a bad sign when you cough in the middle of placing a trade? I choked. The top of this candle is 137.99. So a move into 138. I might even just dump it. The problem with buying a protective call here is that you're going to find support with the 100 and the 200. Actually, I would just, if you do protective calls, I would do it above the 200 and then a stop up above here. But then you get a pretty big risk from your entry to stop. And the reason that becomes important is because we have a very solid target right there. So I think if I were going to place this trade and it does not gap, I'd have my stop right at about there and not even mess with a protective call. That's about a 1.5 to 1. I'd love this thing to go sideways a little bit. If it gaps across that pivot, then I'll have my stop somewhere about there. So I'll have a much tighter stop if it gaps over that. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on CMI? My dad brought this up because there is another expert that is trying to draw that as a wedge, and I think it's just too big for a wedge. I don't know. I see a descending triangle more than a wedge. But at any rate, yeah, with a move below 133, a gradual move, I'd wait for a close. A gap, I would buy it pretty close to the open. Questions, thoughts, comments, opposing views, type them in. Otherwise, it looks like I have time for one more. And we haven't looked at Southwest Airlines in a while. Oh my gosh. That looks like an easy trade. All right, so goodness gracious. Okay, so there was a swing trade that triggered. Let me see if I can get some of these day trade stuff off of there. Get that off and get that one off. Yeah, so we day traded Southwest Airlines the other day. So this did trigger a move above that. I would buy a call there. I'd put my stop. I like this because there's a lot of distance between the protective call and the stop, meaning that if it does move above 35 or 36-ish, yeah, I'm going to move that up to the bottom of that. If it does move above 36, that protective call has a lot of room to grow in value before it gets to the stop. If you were not in but want to be in, this thing has certainly rested, and you could wait for a move below there. Yeah, so probably that previous entry was best because you're looking at a target back there. You know, if you got in there, that's a nice reward risk ratio. Here, not you're looking more like a 1-to-1, but still, I'm more bearish than bullish on Southwest Airlines. If it does go back up, I would definitely do that protective call because this could very easily be an inverted head and shoulders. I don't think that that happens. I think it rolls back down, but realize that a bullish move from here on Southwest Airlines would confirm an inverted head and shoulders. Questions, thoughts, opposing views? Type them in. Anything else you guys want to look at or talk about? That one was quick and easy. It's 4 o'clock right now, so let's see what NSC looks like. I'm not even sure what NSC is, but it's on my list. Okay, NSC, if you can get in, now get in. Like, if you can still get in now, entry, stop. Because that thing just broke out a while ago. But it is after 4. Okay. If NSC gaps up, all right, let's get back into this because there could be a great trade. If NSC tomorrow stays below 89.73, I think it's a good entry if it's in your trading plan. But certainly this close below 89.73 is a very, very nice bearish move. I would have my stop or a protective call up there. We'll call that 93.41. And before I end the recording, let's see where a target would be. Wow, it hasn't been this low in a long time. Target 1-to-1 would be around 87. This thing's in a bearish move for a long time, so give this thing room to run. This thing could very easily move another 12 points. So NSC, look for it bearish. Trade your plan. I'm out of time, so I got to stop. But thank you guys so much for being one of our traders. I absolutely love all of the opportunity to get in trade with you guys. I love the way you guys help me with my trading. I love the way we share trades and help each other as a team. You guys are awesome. Everything is awesome. Remember that about 2 out of 7 people in the world today have no food, and a little over 6 out of 7 people in the world have don't have access to meat today. So if the biggest thing we're worried about is a couple of R's, then we are in the upper 95 to 99% of wealth, of success, of wonderfulness in the world. So relish in the things that we have because we are truly blessed. Until I get to see you guys next time, be awesome. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy everything that you got. And trade on logic, not on hope. Thank you, everyone.